What if I told you that one of the world's smallest foxes has evolved ears so powerful they can hear a beetle walking underground from 20 feet away? And that's just the beginning of their story. The Fennec Fox lives in one of the most unforgiving places on Earth, the Sahara Desert, where temperatures swing from 120 degrees Fahrenheit during the day to near freezing at night. Yet these tiny predators have developed abilities that seem almost supernatural. Scientists studying them in 2025 have discovered behaviors that completely change what we thought we knew about desert survival. And some of what you've heard about these foxes? Completely wrong. Let me take you inside the real life of a Fennec fox, from the moment they're born in darkness to the challenges that would kill most other animals in days. You enter the world in complete darkness, deep underground in a den your mother dug weeks before you were born. The temperature down here stays remarkably stable, around 70 degrees, while the desert surface above bakes at over 100. You're born with your eyes sealed shut, weighing barely 2 ounces, about the weight of a golf ball. Your ears, which will eventually become your greatest asset, are folded flat against your head. One sibling lies beside you in the cramped space. Your mother immediately begins licking you clean, stimulating your breathing and circulation. This isn't just maternal care. Recent research from 2025 published in the Journal of Desert Ecology reveals that this licking process does something remarkable. It coats newborn Fennec foxes with beneficial bacteria from the mother's saliva that helps them regulate body temperature more efficiently. Scientists didn't expect to find this microbial adaptation, but it turns out to be crucial for survival in temperature extremes. For the first 2 weeks, your world consists entirely of nursing, sleeping, and the warmth of your mother's fur. Your father never enters the den during this period. This isn't neglect. Male Fennec foxes instinctively avoid the birthing den to prevent bringing their scent inside, which could attract predators like eagle owls or jackals. Instead, he hunts constantly, bringing food to the entrance where your mother can grab it quickly. Here's something most people get completely wrong about Fennec foxes. They're often called solitary animals, but that's outdated information. Studies conducted in 2024 and 2025 using GPS tracking collars have revealed that Fennec foxes are actually far more social than previously believed. Mated pairs stay together for life, and extended family groups often share overlapping territories, communicating through a complex system of vocalizations that researchers are still working to fully decode. At exactly 14 days old, your eyes open for the first time. The den is dim, lit only by faint light filtering through the entrance tunnel, but you can finally see your surroundings. Your sibling is already awake, and together you begin exploring the small chamber that's been your entire universe. Your ears are starting to unfold now, and you're beginning to hear things your mother has been hearing all along. The scratch of your father's claws on sand above. The distant call of another Fennec family half a mile away. The movement of insects in the tunnel walls. Your hearing is developing faster than any other sense, and for good reason. By the time you're fully grown, your ears will measure 6 inches long on a body that's only about 16 inches from nose to tail. Those ears aren't just for hearing. They're also giant radiators that help dump excess body heat. Blood vessels close to the skin surface in the ears release heat into the air, which is why Fennec foxes can survive in temperatures that would cause heat stroke in most other mammals. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Scientists have recently discovered that Fennec fox ears can move independently of each other, swiveling up to 180 degrees, and they can detect frequency ranges that humans can't even imagine. We hear up to about 20 kilohertz. Fennec foxes can detect sounds up to 65 kilohertz. That means they can hear the ultrasonic distress calls of rodents, the movement of insect larvae underground, and even the sound of a beetle's legs touching sand grains. This ability is so precise that researchers in 2025 successfully trained captive Fennec foxes to locate buried objects by sound alone in controlled experiments. They were accurate 92% of the time. At 3 weeks old, you're strong enough to walk steadily, and the urge to explore beyond the den becomes overwhelming. One evening, as the brutal desert heat begins to fade, your sibling makes a break for the entrance. Your mother tries to block the way, but your sibling is quick and slips past her legs onto the sand outside. What happens next occurs in less than 3 seconds. A Varro's eagle owl, one of the largest owls in Africa with a wingspan of over 5 feet, drops silently from its perch on a nearby rock formation. Its talons, capable of exerting over 400 pounds per square inch of pressure, close around your sibling. There's one short cry, then nothing. Your mother doesn't chase the owl. She can't. She has to protect you. This is the harsh mathematics of desert survival. Fennec fox litters average 2 to 4 pups, but mortality in the first 8 weeks can reach 60%. Owls, jackals, caracals, and even large snakes all prey on young foxes. Your mother blocks the entrance with her body for hours, and when your father returns, they communicate through a series of low whines and barks that researchers have identified as distress calls. If you're watching this and learning something new about these incredible animals, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps more people discover just how amazing Fennec foxes really are. And drop a comment telling me which desert animal you want me to cover next, because there are some seriously weird creatures out there that need their stories told. 3 weeks later, you're 6 weeks old, and everything changes. Your mother nudges you toward the entrance and doesn't stop you this time. You step onto the cooling sand just as the sun touches the horizon. The sky above you is impossibly vast, painted in oranges and purples you've never seen before. The temperature has dropped from 115 degrees to about 85, and it will continue falling throughout the night. This is when Fennec foxes are most active. They're crepuscular and nocturnal, meaning they're active during twilight and nighttime hours when the desert is coolest. Your father appears with a large darkling beetle in his jaws and drops it at your feet. This is your first lesson in what food looks like. You sniff it cautiously, then bite down. The exoskeleton cracks and you swallow the pieces, getting your first taste of protein you didn't get from nursing. But you need to learn more than just what food tastes like. You need to learn how to catch it. Your mother is already several yards away, digging near a dried shrub. You run to catch up, and that's when something slams into your side. You tumble across the sand, legs flailing, completely disoriented. When you twist around, you see another young fox about your size. It's a kit from a neighboring den, and this is your introduction to play behavior. Most people think animals play just for fun, but scientists now understand that play fighting in Fennec foxes serves multiple critical functions. It develops hunting reflexes, establishes social hierarchies, and teaches bite inhibition. The other kit jumps on you again, and you respond by nipping at its ear while it pushes your face with its paws. Your mother barks once, sharp and commanding, and both of you freeze instantly. She moves toward a small burrow and begins digging rapidly, sand flying behind her in arcs. Suddenly, a sand skink, a type of smooth-scaled lizard, shoots out from underneath and races across open ground. Your instincts kick in, and you chase it, legs pumping as fast as they can go. But the skink is far faster and disappears under a rock before you get close. The other kit catches a beetle instead and devours it in seconds while you watch, frustrated and still hungry. You've just learned one of the desert's hardest lessons. Food doesn't appear. You have to be faster, smarter, and more persistent than your prey. And right now, you're none of those things. Skip forward to 3 months old. You're outside the den alone after sunset, and your stomach is empty. This is when your oversized ears become your greatest weapon. You press them flat against the sand and listen with absolute focus. There, something is moving beneath the surface about 10 feet ahead. You tilt your head from side to side, triangulating the exact location using the minute differences in sound arrival time between your ears. This is called binaural localization, and Fennec Foxes are among the best in the world at it. You start digging furiously, front paws tearing through sand until you uncover a fat beetle larva wriggling in the dirt. You bite it before it can burrow deeper and swallow it whole. Your first solo catch, but you're still hungry. You hear another sound, something larger moving through the substrate. You dig again, claws ripping through sand until you expose a small jerboa, a desert rodent with enormous hind legs built for jumping. It tries to escape, but you're faster this time. You pin it with your paw and deliver a killing bite to the neck. It stops struggling within seconds. You pick up your prize and carry it toward the den, feeling a surge of accomplishment. Then a shadow passes overhead. You look up and see a martial eagle circling, one of Africa's most powerful raptors with a wingspan approaching 8 feet. It's hunting, and you're exposed in open terrain with nowhere to hide. You drop the jerboa and run. Your legs are short, only about 5 inches long, but they're built for explosive speed in short bursts. You throw yourself through the den entrance just as the eagle dives, talons extended. Its claws scrape across the sand where you stood a moment before, missing you by inches. You stay inside for hours, watching the entrance, waiting for the threat to pass. You caught your first real meal tonight, but you also learn that the sky is always watching. And here's something that might surprise you. Despite being small, Fennec foxes have one of the highest metabolic rates of any canid. They need to consume approximately 10 to 15% of their body weight in food every single day just to maintain their energy levels. For a 3-pound fox, that means catching and eating nearly a 1/4 pound of insects, rodents, and lizards daily. In a desert where food is scarce, that's an enormous challenge. Most people have this completely wrong about Fennec foxes and water. You've probably heard they never drink water, getting all their hydration from food. That's partially true, but misleading. Recent field studies from 2025 show that Fennec foxes will drink water when it's available, especially during the hottest months. But their kidneys are so incredibly efficient at concentrating urine that they can survive for extended periods without drinking at all. Their kidneys can produce urine that's nearly twice as concentrated as human urine, meaning they lose far less water through waste. They also have specialized nasal passages that capture moisture from exhaled air and return it to their bodies. Every adaptation is about conserving water in an environment where it's the most precious resource. At 9 months old, everything changes again. Your mother has given birth to a new litter. The den is crowded with 4 tiny pups that can't see yet, and your father's hunting efforts are now focused entirely on feeding them and your mother. He no longer shares food with you. One evening, he turns toward you and growls low, teeth bared. This isn't aggression, it's communication. You're sexually mature now, and you need to leave. This is called natal dispersal, and it's essential for preventing inbreeding and reducing competition for resources. You back away from the den and walk out onto the sand. You're on your own now. You travel across the dunes for hours under moonlight, passing several occupied dens marked with urine scent posts. These chemical signals tell you everything you need to know. This territory is claimed. Keep moving. Then you find an abandoned burrow near a cluster of large rocks. You approach cautiously and sniff the entrance. No scent of other foxes, no sign of snakes or other dangerous occupants. You squeeze inside and explore. The tunnel is narrow and shallow, barely adequate. So over the next several nights, you dig. You widen the tunnel, create a deeper sleeping chamber, and excavate a second exit on the opposite side of the rocks. This is crucial. Fennec Fox dens almost always have multiple entrances. If a predator enters one way, you escape through another. When your den is complete, you mark every rock around it with urine, claiming the space as yours. You hunt nearby, catching beetles, a small lizard, and 2 gerbils hiding under dried vegetation. One night while you're foraging, you hear other fennec foxes calling in the distance. Their vocalizations echo across the desert, a mix of barks, whines, and chattering sounds. You don't respond. This territory is yours now, and you're advertising that fact through your scent marks. But here's something fascinating that scientists only recently discovered. Fennec foxes don't just mark territory with urine. They also have scent glands on their paws and near their tails that deposit unique chemical signatures. These scents contain information about the fox's sex, reproductive status, and even individual identity. It's like leaving a chemical business card everywhere you walk. 2 months later, you're 11 months old and hunting near a dried shrub when the wind suddenly picks up. Within minutes, a full sandstorm is building. The air fills with stinging particles that make it nearly impossible to see or breathe. You need shelter immediately. You turn to run back to your den, but the sand is already so thick you've lost your sense of direction. The wind strengthens, pushing against your body with surprising force. You stumble over a rock and fall. Sand immediately begins covering you, so you shake it off and push forward. You're disoriented now, with no idea which direction leads to safety. You spot a large boulder ahead and run toward it, pressing your body flat against its leeward side. The storm intensifies, and sand piles against your back while you remain completely still. Then something else appears through the dust and stops at the same rock. It's a Cape hare, a much larger animal that also needs shelter. It presses against the boulder about 3 feet away. Neither of you moves toward the other. You're both just trying to survive. This is one of the desert's strange truths. Predator and prey sometimes shelter together during extreme weather, because survival takes precedence over hunting. The storm lasts for hours. When the wind finally weakens and the air clears, the hare bolts away immediately. You shake sand from your fur and climb to the top of a nearby dune to get your bearings. You scan the landscape until you spot your familiar rock formation in the distance and make your way back. Your burrow entrance is half buried, so you dig with your front paws until you can squeeze inside. Sandstorms in the Sahara can last for days and bury entire dunes. They're one of the greatest threats to fennec foxes, especially young ones still learning their territories. But scientists didn't expect what they found next when studying fennec fox behavior during storms. Research published in early 2025 revealed that fennec foxes have an almost magnetic ability to navigate back to their dens, even in zero visibility conditions. Researchers believe they may be using a combination of magnetic field detection, similar to migratory birds, and memory of subsurface vibration patterns to find their way home. The exact mechanism is still being studied, but it's clear these foxes possess navigational abilities we're only beginning to understand. At 1 year old, you're fully mature. One evening, you emerge from your den and immediately notice fresh urine marks on your territorial rocks that weren't there before. Another fennec fox, a young male, is trying to claim your space. You follow the scent across the sand until you spot him digging near dried grass, eating something he just caught. You approach with ears pointed forward, a sign of confidence and aggression. He stops eating and turns to face you, lowering his head and baring his teeth. You bare yours in return and step closer. He moves first, rushing toward you. You meet him head-on, and you both tumble across the sand, jaws snapping. He bites your ear hard enough to draw blood, making you yelp. You twist free and bite down on his front leg. He pulls back, trying to escape. You chase him for about 50 yards, barking aggressively until he finally leaves your territory completely. You return to your den and lick your wounds. The bite on your ear will heal in a few days. Territorial disputes among fennec foxes rarely result in serious injury because the costs of fighting are too high. A badly injured fox in the desert is a dead fox. Most conflicts are resolved through displays of aggression and brief physical encounters rather than prolonged battles. Your territory is secure for now, but you'll need to defend it repeatedly as other young males search for space to claim. Then one night, about 2 weeks after the territorial fight, you hear something different. A series of high-pitched calls coming from the direction of a neighboring territory. You've heard these sounds before, but they affect you differently now. They're coming from a female fennec fox, and she's advertising her reproductive availability. Fennec foxes typically breed once per year, usually between January and March, timed so that pups are born when food is most abundant. You approach cautiously, staying just outside her territorial markers. She appears from behind a rock, slightly smaller than you, with enormous ears backlit by moonlight. She approaches, and you both engage in a complex greeting ritual involving circling, sniffing, and soft vocalizations. Over the next several days, you visit her repeatedly, and a pair bond begins forming. Here's where fennec fox behavior gets really interesting. Unlike many other canids, fennec foxes are monogamous, typically mating for life. Once a pair bond forms, both foxes work together to maintain territory, hunt, and eventually raise pups. The male plays an active role in pup rearing, bringing food to the den, and standing guard while the female nurses. This cooperative breeding strategy significantly increases pup survival rates. Research from 2025 shows that pups raised by bonded pairs have survival rates nearly 30% higher than those raised by single mothers. Your mate becomes pregnant, and after a gestation period of about 50 days, she gives birth to 3 pups deep in her den. You don't enter the birthing chamber, but you hunt constantly, bringing her beetles, lizards, small rodents, and anything else you can catch. You're a father now, and your pup's survival depends on your hunting success. For the next 8 weeks, you'll work harder than you ever have, hunting throughout the night to provide enough food for your growing family. But let's talk about something crucial that most people never hear about. Fennec foxes are currently listed as least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, which sounds good, but that classification hides some worrying trends. While fennec foxes have a wide range across North Africa and the Sahara, Their populations are declining in many areas due to habitat fragmentation, climate change, and illegal capture for the exotic pet trade. And here's something that should concern everyone. The Sahara Desert is expanding at a rate of approximately 30 miles per year due to climate change and desertification. This isn't creating more Fennec Fox habitat. It's destroying the marginal areas where prey species are most abundant. In 2025, conservation organizations are working on several fronts to protect Fennec foxes. First, there are increased efforts to crack down on illegal wildlife trafficking. Fennec foxes are frequently captured and sold as exotic pets, which is devastating for wild populations and cruel to the animals, who suffer tremendously in captivity outside their natural environment. Second, researchers are establishing long-term monitoring programs using camera traps and GPS collars to better understand population dynamics and movement patterns. This data is essential for creating effective conservation strategies. Third, there are growing initiatives to protect key desert habitats through the establishment of protected areas and wildlife corridors. Here's something that gives me hope. Community-based conservation programs in Morocco and Algeria are training local people to become wildlife monitors and ecotourism guides, creating economic incentives to protect Fennec foxes rather than capture them. Early results from these programs show promise, with participating communities reporting stable or increasing Fennec fox populations in their areas. Conservation works when local communities are invested in the outcome. Before we wrap up, let me share some final facts that showcase just how remarkable these animals are. Fennec foxes can jump forward up to 4 feet from a standing position, an incredible feat for an animal that weighs less than 4 pounds. Their fur is so dense, with over 1,200 hairs per square inch, that it provides insulation against both extreme heat and cold. They can survive in temperatures ranging from 20 degrees Fahrenheit to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Their feet are covered with thick fur that protects them from burning sand and provides traction on loose surfaces, essentially giving them built-in snowshoes for sand. And perhaps most impressively, they can go their entire lives without drinking water if necessary, getting all required hydration from their prey. The Fennec fox isn't just surviving in one of Earth's harshest environments, it's thriving there through a combination of extraordinary adaptations that took millions of years to evolve. Those enormous ears that seem almost comical. Their precision instruments that can detect a beetle walking underground from 20 feet away. That fluffy tail that looks decorative. It's a blanket they wrap around themselves during cold desert nights and a balance aid during high-speed chases. Every feature has a purpose, shaped by the relentless pressure of desert survival. If you made it this far, you're clearly someone who appreciates the incredible diversity of life on our planet. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. I've got some absolutely wild animals lined up that are going to blow your mind. And seriously, drop a comment telling me which animal you want to learn about next. I read every single comment, and your suggestions directly influence what I cover. Should I do the jerboa next, the desert rodent that can jump 25 times its body length? Or maybe the deathstalker scorpion, whose venom is being studied for cancer treatment? Let me know. The Fennec fox's story is ultimately one of resilience, adaptation, and survival against impossible odds. From the moment they're born in darkness to the day they claim their own territory and start the cycle again, these tiny predators face challenges that would overwhelm most animals. Yet they persist, generation after generation, perfectly adapted to a world of extremes. They remind us that life finds a way, even in the harshest places, and that every species, no matter how small, has a story worth telling. The Sahara Desert may be unforgiving, but the Fennec Fox has learned not just to survive there, but to master it. And that's something worth protecting.